Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. How are you, Christos?
I am good.
Yeah,
I am good. It's Tuesday morning. It's gonna be a nice day and a glorious day today here in Seattle, apparently. So I'm super excited about that.
it's gonna rain here all day.
And raining.
Yeah,
Well, you should trade places. You can come over here.
yeah, it's gonna be kind of gross, but whatever. Such is life, I guess.
Yeah, I was bitten by a mosquito last night. I was so pissed off. It's like, what is this? It's so nearly October. Why are mosquitoes still around in Seattle? But apparently they managed to persist.
Yeah,
It's insane.
yeah. Last night, we were on the phone for a bit, and then I went upstairs, and it was I don't know, 6:15, and I started getting phone calls and text messages. People, what's going on? What's going on?
What?
And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. What do you
Oh,
mean? And yeah, I guess there was a bit of an outage yesterday
a little
afternoon.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely not fun. Although I'm glad that seems everything got resolved within a few
You said
hours.
outage. You said outage, but you didn't clarify what kind of
An
outage. It
Azure,
was an
looks like an
Azure AD
Azure AD
outage.
outage. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
not a whole lot of
and
fun.
it's surprising when you realize how many things are running on top of Azure AD.
Yeah,
We are at the base of everything, people. And this is what happens when one of our critical services goes down. Like Teams was not working, Office 365 was not working, Azure AD, Azure Portal. It
yeah,
was a little bit of a mess, but we managed to resolve it. I want to see the post mortem on what happened.
yeah. I think it's supposed to be out within another day or two. It should
Mm,
be available, and of course, those are all public too, so you can go back and see exactly what happened. But yeah, it was a
yes.
little painful. So of course, I've got a friend who left Microsoft and went to Google, so I've heard about it
Uh-huh.
incessantly since yesterday afternoon. About
Mm-hmm.
so but it sucks. It sucks to be offline for that long, especially when everything does depend on it, and you can't get the Azure, you can't get the Office, and yeah, it hurts. It's painful, but I guess what is it? What do they say? What doesn't kill you makes you better. So I'm
Makes you stronger.
I'm sure there were.
I'm pretty sure we'll come up with a more resilient way to deal with whatever caused this first one.
Yeah,
So again, I'm super curious to see what the post-mortem is and what the real cause was, because I'm sure they had quite a few engineers looking at the issue to determine
well, and
how to
then
resolve it.
and my buddy pinged me this morning. He was telling me that I guess CenturyLink had a big outage yesterday afternoon about the same time, and it's just like you wonder, like
Oh,
you think you think you
coincidence?
fixed
Don't know.
something, and you think you fixed something, and then it's like, well, we fixed the thing we thought was broken, and is it something else? Is it still broken? It's one thing when it's the two of us building something locally, or when you're working locally to be out, but when your service is
Mhm.
out, it's a scramble. So I don't envy
Yes.
I don't envy that kind of pressure, to be quite honest. So
Yeah, being at the eye of the typhoon there is just insane, right? It must be crazy. It's
yeah,
not the eye of the typhoon. What is it? The eye of the storm.
yeah, we don't have
I need more
typhoons here.
coffee this morning.
Of course,
We don't have typhoons.
well, we have hurricanes. Typhoons are in the
Don't,
Pacific.
don't, don't say never though, because with global warming and everything, typhoons may become the norm in the next few years. Who
They'd
knows?
have to make it. A typhoon would have to make it all the way across the landmass of Asia and Europe to make it all the way over here. Although I don't know, maybe not.
Maybe not.
But yeah, I guess it's 2020, so never say never.
Exactly. I mean, this year has still more things to give to us. We got 3 more months left.
Yeah. So, well, we smoked a pork butt over the weekend, which was delicious because it was nice here over the weekend. It was 70s and
I'm
breezy.
still waiting for my invites.
You're welcome to come whenever. It's just it requires getting on a plane.
We can drive across we can drive across the U.S. just for the pork rib.
Well, so when I first met my wife, of course she was from Michigan, and so where barbecue is a verb, and so I told her, I said, I said, you gotta try this stuff, and she was like, okay. And there's
Uh-huh.
a place about hour and 15 minutes from here called Lexington Barbecue, and it's the most delicious barbecue on the planet. I mean, you can fight me all you want, but I'll never change my mind.
Is it Michigan or North Carolina?
North Carolina.
Ah,
So we went up there, and she loved it. She's like, "Oh, this is delicious," you know. And I mean, before we had kids, we'd hop, like, if we were bored on a Saturday, we'd hop in the car and run up and get some Lexington barbecue. It was just that good, you know.
those were the days, man. I know. Now you have kids. It's like even if you go there, there's no way that you will enjoy anything because you run around the kids and run after the kids and they go
Yeah.
crazy and they can't stay still.
Well, I mean, if somebody said, "Hey, I got a customer in Raleigh, can you go and see them?" Because Raleigh, it's about halfway. Lexington's about halfway between here and Raleigh. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. Where are we going? That's fine. I don't mind. Well, if anything, if I can stop and get some barbecue on the way home, I don't mind. I don't care. It's fine. Let's make it happen." So,
Exactly.
but anyway, so we got we're gonna have a fun guest on today for a little bit. He's coming on in about what 20 minutes or so.
20 minutes. Yes.
Jean-Marc from the Microsoft.Identity.Web library team.
Yeah, he's part of our engineering team, and he is one of the main architects of the Microsoft Identity Web, which we've talked about so much in the past few months, and we'll probably be talking about it over the next few months because this thing is amazing.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be great because he's got, I'm sure, all sorts of interesting things to talk about it that we just don't know yet. And, you know,
The inside scoop.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
because, you know, we are largely consumers of that library, right? I mean, what we do is we use it and we try to help other people use it. And it's so simple and so easy to use that kind of doesn't require a whole lot of inside baseball on making it work, which is great. So,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
so that was cool. And then there were a couple other cool things that have come out this week. So now your Azure AD app roles can you can secure them with PIM. So if
Yeah.
so if you've got an app, let me get my browser up here. So if you've got an app, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I needed that one. Oh well, I guess I'll come back around to it. So if you've got an app and you've made some app roles in it, so we talked about app roles a couple weeks ago in the context of the new interface that's coming in with them, right?
Right.
So soon that interface will be back, which is the interface for making app roles on your app registration. So we're here at the Azure.
Make sure to zoom in, right?
Yeah.
Zoom,
So
zoom,
we're
zoom,
here at
zoom,
the Azure AD app, Azure AD portal, which is the same as the regular Azure portal. It's just if you put AAD in front of it, it just limits it to Azure AD. So it's a little bit faster to get where you need to go. But it's the same thing you get when you go to the Azure AD portal of the. We go to the portal in the Azure portal and go to the Azure AD Blade.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go to an app registration, last week we talked about the ability to make these app roles, right? So
Right.
I guess we'll look at. Let's see. Let's look at. We'll just use the ones that we used before. So we've got our old SQL app, which was just an old app, and if we look at the manifest, because that UI isn't back yet, we've got a few of these different roles that we created, right? So there's this one called something. There's this one called read all, whatever. Do stuff, all these different roles that we've exposed for the app. And if we go to enterprise apps, we look for old SQL app, here's where we can push users into it. So here's where we do things like users and groups, and we can assign users roles. Remember, we did this last week. Now, what's kind of neat, though, is that there's this new concept of PIM, Privileged Identity Management, where you elevate into a role for groups.
Yep.
So this is still in preview 2, so this is still early days. But privileged access groups, you can actually attach PIM to a group. So let's go create a group. So I'm going to create a new group, and we'll just call this old SQL app admins. And let's see, it's a security group. We'll call it old SQL app admins. The membership is assigned, and let's give myself owner. Oops, I need to be in the other user, sorry. Too many users, too many identities. If only somebody could help us with this. There we go. So let's go create a new group. And we're going to call it, you'll notice this interface is slightly different with the addition of a checkbox that was missing because I didn't have that permission. Old SQL app user role 1, right? Or I think we called them admin users. So we'll call this group Old SQL app admin user. This is the group of the administrative users of our old SQL app. And we're going to say, yeah, Azure AD roles can be assigned to the group. Now, it's kind of a strange, sort of a strange wording, but
Yes.
you'll notice the roles sort of lifted up here. So I'll make myself an owner, and we'll create it. So now I've got my group created. And in enterprise apps, which is where we set these users up, we'll do old SQL app. And we're going to go add that group as old SQL app admin user. We're going to add that group to the role, right? So we're going to add them to the administrative user role. So we assign that. And I'm going to take myself out for these other roles. So the only thing in here is a group. So this is also kind of a good way to do if you're migrating from on-prem and you're using like AD groups for authorization. This is a pretty easy way to transfer that over, because the name of your role, so in my case, administrative user, that name is what's going to come across, or the value, actually, not the name. I think the value is a little bit different in the manifest. There's no space. But the value of the role is what's going to come over when a user signs in. And that's what toggles, or that's what drives that authorize attribute. So if I've got groups, I could create roles that match the names of the groups and not have to change my code, which is kind of cool. So
that is awesome.
So then now we've got this group, and the only way that I can get into this group right now, the only way that I can get this admin user permission is to be a member of this group, because this is the only assignment that's happened, right?
Right.
So let's go to our group. Sorry, that's not the right group. Where do you do this? I forgot. I did this yesterday, and now I've forgotten where exactly you do it. So we want to put the group under management. So let's see here. Where did I onboard this group? I don't remember where I did it.
Maybe you need more coffee too.
Yeah, I probably do. I stayed up too late. I got a new video card, so I can finally play. Tell
the world. Tell the world what you did.
What do you mean?
Tell us, why were you up until this late?
Oh, because I finally bought a video card that I could play a game with. Like I've had this thing a Quadro something, which was great for driving monitors, but not so great for playing a game. And I don't play any games. I'm not very good at them, so I don't play many of them. Unless it's like Doom, like the old Doom from 20 years ago. But Flight Simulator's back out. So I was kind of like, well, I kind of want to do that. Good morning or afternoon. Oops. Good morning, if I can actually write the whole thing. And so I picked up something called a GTX 1070 or something yesterday. A buddy of mine sent it to me. And the thing is, I mean, the old card was, it was this big. The new card is like this big, and it's, I mean, I had to like turn it at just the right angle to slide it right into the right spot in the case. It was a total mess. So was not a fan. But I finally made it in without having to cut any metal away to make it fit. So I was pleased with that. The only thing I did notice was that yesterday, of course, we had a huge, pretty big, important meeting, and my camera was glitching half the time, which wasn't very good. So I guess that's the thing, right? Is don't don't make big hardware changes right before you have a meeting. I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe that was a me problem. So anyway, let me get back to my group. I just did this yesterday, so now I'm kind of embarrassed. So I don't remember exactly how I did it. So we've got our group. And we've got old SQL app. Yes, time zones kill me too. It's hard to know too, talking to the internet, as to just exactly who is where when you're talking to them.
Yeah, having a disparate team means that you have to operate across multiple time zones. So right now, I work in 3 time zones: Pacific time, Eastern time, and GMT or UTC.
Yep.
Just for just to keep everybody in place. So if I need to book a meeting, for example, I always need to think, maybe it should be before 2 p.m. because JP needs to, see his kids as well at some point.
Yeah. Well, the thing about kids is they make themselves seen. So usually you don't have to go finding them. They find you. So okay, here we are.
Correct.
So I'm at my group, and you'll notice we have privileged access preview here. And we can enable privileged access. And you'll notice it's for owner or member, which is kind of cool too. So
Nice.
I am an owner, so my assignment here is active, right? But let's add an eligible assignment for to be a member. So I'll add an eligible assignment for a member, and I'll add my other account, the other account that I've got in here that I've been using. So, oops. I didn't remember.
And just a reminder, this is the test tenant that JP has. This is not the Microsoft tenant where we work and operate.
No, that's true, yeah.
Because some of these things are not available to us. We're not admins on those tenants. So having a test tenant is always fun. And if you want to spin up a test tenant, just go to the Microsoft 365 developer program and you get a free tenant for forever.
Yep.
I'll paste the link here.
So I've chosen myself and I can elevate into the member role, and then we'll look at the settings for this. So right now it's eligible, so we're just going to do eligibility. That means you don't have the role. It means you can get the role, but you don't have it, right? It means you can go and elevate, or you can go through a process like an admin has to approve it or whatever. But ultimately, eligible just means you can be elevated into it. It doesn't mean you actually have it until you're ready to get it. So I'll give myself 1 year of eligibility and assign that, right?
Yep.
So
1 year.
1 year of
That's a little bit.
1 year of eligibility, right? So let's. I'm gonna get back over to. I'm gonna leave this screen up. Let's go over to the app itself, to the app registration itself, so we can generate us a login URL. So old SQL app. I'm going to cheat a little bit and add jwt.ms here so I don't have to go get that app running again. So we're going to add that. So now I've got my old SQL app, and we need our application ID, and let's go log into it. So that's https login.microsoft.com. Oops, login.microsoftonline.com. Tenant name, OAuth2, blah, blah, blah. And here's my client ID, which we need that. And we need a nonce, which we'll just use default nonce. And we need a scope, which we will do OpenID and profile.
You need to zoom in.
Well, yeah.
Zoom. Can you even zoom on the? I don't think you can zoom on the URL. Can you?
No. So this is the thing, right? So this is the URL we're going to go to. Oh, I forgot response type, of course. And response type equals ID token.
It just always scares me, the fact that you know the URL by heart and you don't have to look it up.
So, okay, so here's my here's my ID token for this app, right? Nothing too crazy, but you'll notice I have no roles. There's no roles claim in here at all because I'm not a member of any roles for this application. So we've got just a pretty basic ID token. Nothing too exciting here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back over here now And let's make my user active. And we will make myself active for the next hour. So that's what? Tuesday, September 29th. So 09/29/2020. And we'll make it for 11, an hour from now. I like to do the stuff, right? So now, because I'm an admin, I can grant this in. So we're going to update the role grant. So now it's been queued. And now, under active assignments, you see I'm a member, right? You do it too many times, Jeremy, and it's just, I don't know, man. It's one of those pieces of completely arcane knowledge that, you know, I'll get it inscribed on my headstone or something. Knew all of the Azure AD OpenID Connect parameters. It'd be about the only thing.
All the scopes for graph as well.
So, so we've got. So you notice now under active assignments, my live account, my MSA, is a member. I'm still the owner in this account. Of course, you can always look up here and see which account we're in. So let's go back and do this again. So response type equals ID token, and hopefully now we have the role. So now I've got a role, administrative user role, right? So in the span of, I don't know, what was that, 60 seconds that we were talking?
Yep.
It was, now I've got the role. So in my app, if we had an authorized tag on the top of on a specific method or whatever, if we have users that need to be in these roles, we don't have to keep them in there permanently. We can use PIM, and that way we can either force an approval. Let's go look at, well, in fact, we'll go look at the PIM. We'll go look at PIM things. So there are different settings for this. Let's see. Where do we set those settings? Are those set in PIM, maybe? They're usually done per resource, so it may just be... Let's see here. Nope, I don't want those. Assignments, new, settings, new. Let's see, is my role in here now? Old SQL? Nope, not in here yet. Here we go. No, that's an Azure AD role. But there it is. Okay, so here's our old SQL app admin user under privileged access groups. And in here is where we control, here's where we control the settings, right? So these are the settings that a user has to, this sort of configures the experience for somebody who wants to do it. So this is specifically for going to be a member. So you could have one set of rules for being a member of a group and one set of rules for being an owner of a group. So require justification, require a ticket, require approval. So if we were to do, if we were to require approval, for example, we could choose a collection of approvers. So this could be, you know, these could be other administrative users, although that might be kind of a chicken and egg scenario. But these could be some other group that manages those on your behalf. They could be an app owner, which might be useful, especially if the ops team that, you know, sort of owns that owns creating roles and doing that sort of work. If they're separate from the people who would know, okay, this user belongs in this group, then perhaps this set of approvers is a business group or some other group that manages that. When it comes to assignment, this is where we control things like, do you require MFA in order to make this happen? How long should one of these expire? So like 15 days, maybe that's enough. And so that would just automatically happen. You can always go and revoke it manually, but you could also just say, hey, if I forget, make sure it's gone after 15 days. And then you'll notice I don't have permanent eligible assignment enabled for members. So no one would ever permanently be eligible for this role or permanently active. So
that's very nice.
Everyone in the members group would purely be people who were added via PIM who had a reason for being in there. Now, of course, you could change those if you needed to, but Yeah, and then of course there's notification stuff. So in fact, if I open my email, I'll go ahead and apologize in advance because who knows what sort of offensive stuff will be in my email. We've been over that a dozen times before, but you'll notice that. Let me zoom this in a little
Hopefully
bit.
Azure AD is not swearing at you for using PIM.
So on my so in my
How dare you?
in my live account, it
Uh-huh.
tells me that I assigned this user the member role, blah blah blah. You know that I'm eligible, and then when we actually did the assignment, you'll notice that the assignment's still there, right?
Yeah.
So this is the end user. This is what the end user gets. But then if you are
An admin.
an admin,
Is there a documentation link that we can link to for this one?
there is. In fact, it's pretty easy. It's called aka.ms. It's here, aka.ms
Uh-huh.
/PAG for Privileged Access Group.
AG. Somebody created an AK.ms link. I love it.
Yep. And then let's see.
Is that it?
I mean, that's pretty much it. And here's the admin experience, right? So I'm gonna pull this window back over. I just had to make sure there wasn't anything offensive in there. So this is the admin's email account, and the admin you'll see gets an email saying that this user was assigned or is assigned, and then that somebody updated a role assignment.
Right.
So, and the justification that we typed in is there. But of course, since I elevated the user, that was my own justification. But nonetheless, excuse me. Nonetheless, it follows the same sort of PIM process that you're used to if you're already using PIM. So it's kind of cool because being able to dip in and elevate users into your app sort of on demand is a pretty powerful thing to do. Especially if you're, when you're using Azure AD for your line of business apps, that's a big deal to be able to do that. So,
yeah. By the way, in the documentation, we don't show how to do it. Hey, Chris Bacon V2. Thanks for following us, by the way, and thanks for joining the stream.
Yeah, good morning
or good afternoon
or good evening
or good evening or good evening.
I like Zyva's way of good of happy time zone.
Did we get a notification in the screen? I didn't see it.
I don't know. I did not see that part of the screen. I'm sure we did.
AD time zone. Azure AD time zone. We need a feature inside Azure AD to tell us the time zone.
Yeah. So, anyway, yeah. So I guess now we're just we're gonna have
waiting for Jean-Marc.
Yeah, we have Jean-Marc on here in a few minutes.
Joining any minute.
So we'll get Jean-Marc. Yeah, yesterday there were a few AD issues yesterday. It was It was yesterday afternoon. Yesterday evening was not a good day. A lot of people working hard to make sure everything is back up and running, and we were talking about that a little bit earlier. That does not sound like that's a lot of pressure to keep a running service going all the time. But yeah, it was kind of painful to watch, but I'm glad that
acknowledging the issue that our favorite service is down.
Yeah,
it's not funny. In fact, a couple of people pinged me on Twitter to say, "Hey, Azure AD is down." It almost felt like I had to go and fix it. Like, "Hey, Azure AD is down. You should go and fix it." Like, oh, okay, well, I'm pretty sure we have quite a few engineers fixing it there. So I just acknowledged. Luckily enough, the Azure support team jumped on those, so I did not have to respond personally to say whatever. But it was funny to see, and I can imagine Azure support was going crazy with all these responses.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Okay, we're back.
I think you're always setting me up for that.
I know.
You're always setting me up for that.
All right, so I was looking for identity.web because it keeps on resolving as a domain, but apparently .web is not a TLD yet. Too bad. But when it becomes one, I will use it. I will buy it as quickly as I can. So it would actually be kind of a perfect one. It's proposed, I guess, but I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work yet. So Anyway, all right. So what are we doing today? We are working on we're working on Asman, right?
Yes, and for people that are joining us for the first time and they don't know what Asman is, it is an Azure Manager tool that will automate your resource management by, having some triggers via policies or timers, and we'll also add some integration with Google Assistant and Alexa. So when you get home from a busy day at work, can you even get home these days? Like you're home, you go from your office to your living room and you can say, "Hey Alexa, I forgot to switch off my servers. Go and do it for me."
I just did.
So
I have like a routine for when I'm done with work on the Google thing, and I just tell it, hey, I'm done with work, and it, cuts off my office lights and sets the thermostat and does whatever. And maybe one extra piece that it does in that automation is shuts off my VMs. That'd be great. One less thing to have to worry about, right? So I don't know. I mean, we talked about last time. Like automation is the key to getting the most out of the cloud, right? If you just treating it just like another data center, just means the only difference is you'll get the bill sooner, and so you'll know, oh, I'm spending a bunch of money. So instead of every 3 or 5 years having to go buy a bunch of extra hardware, instead, you just go buy a bunch on you'll get a you get a bill every month. You're like, oh, what do we spend this money on?
Well, there are a lot of ways to save on the cloud, and when I was working in the field, one of the big mistakes that we would see were people migrating to the cloud en masse, and they were like, "Oh, we have 100 VMs here. Let's move these 100 VMs up the cloud and run them because now we're cloud first, right?" And it's not exactly like that. It's not as easy because you have to be clever with how you use the cloud. Otherwise, it can become quite more expensive running infrastructure on the cloud if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you can do is definitely scaling up and scaling down based on loads. That is user load or time load. So you say between 6 and 9 in the morning, we know that we're going to have more traffic. So let's ramp up our servers or our infrastructure, whether you're running on PaaS or IaaS, and then scale it down. You can also move things off VMs and start using PaaS and FaaS, functions as a service. Check that out. And there are different ways to save. So a big exercise for us was to identify what were customers doing and then helping them optimize for the cloud.
Yep.
And a big part of that is automation. Like you can't be at scale if you don't automate and implement the right things. So for us, this tool is probably going to help some of this automation, but there are tons of things they can do to help save costs and reduce the load on your IT team. Now, what was I going to say? I totally forgot what I was going to say. But Asman is excited, and I can't wait for the time that I will be able to go to the living room and say, Alexa, switch off my dev VM. Oh, I was going to talk about dev test labs and what have you. So another way to help your developers is via dev test resources where you stick them into dev test environments and you allow them to work, spin up resources, but they're all controlled and cost managed. It's something that many people don't know about Azure.
So my buddy just texted me. He said, "Hey, Asman." He's like, "Asman," as in. So there used to be a term. No, there used to be a product called Asman, Azman. It was for authorization manager.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. No, we're not deploying that. We're not building that.
No, we're not. And in fact, let me. I'm going to pull it up. So it was an old tool for let's see, Microsoft Asman. It was an old tool called Authorization Manager, and this was long before cloud and everything else. Windows Server 2003 was when it first came out. So it's been gone for a while. So I guess we'll have to maybe we'll have to come up with a new name, or we'll just reappropriate the name. I mean, technically, the project is called, what did we call it? Azure Extension Manager or Azure Expiration Manager or something, but whatever. The old one's gone now anyway, so we'll reappropriate the name. And it's not a formal product anyway. I mean, it's a formal product for me, I guess. but it's not a formal Microsoft product. While Azman
No,
was.
it's not. It's not.
So maybe now we just count down the days until I get an email from Sela telling me I'm using their product name, and they want
Can
me to
you
stop.
imagine? Can you imagine? Like you're creating a competing product. We need to issue a cease and desist.
To your own employee, right? Oh man,
I forgot about that. Thrashing Code is saying, I forgot about that.
yeah,
Hey, Adrian, thanks for joining us, my friend.
yeah. So Azman, yeah.
Yeah.
So so we are building a. So I built a tool, 18 months ago for helping me, 2 years ago for helping me manage my Azure resources and delete resource groups, expire them, whatever. And it's pretty old now, and so we decided last week we were going to start trying to rebuild it and see how much stuff that we have in Azure that we can use to do what we're trying to do without necessarily having to write a bunch of code. So, yeah, I think it's pretty. Yep.
That's a very good comment, Adrian. I agree.
Well, no.
Now,
No.
what do we have so far?
We're rewriting. We are rewriting my Azman, which my Azman was an Azure management tool.
It's already causing issues, man.
I know. We're gonna have to get a new name. We're gonna have to call it something else, I guess. No, it's not.
As long as we don't have to work with the branding team, because it will probably end up like the Microsoft automation tool for managing resources or whatever.
Yeah, my Azman was. It feels weird to say my Azman, by the way. I'm going to throw that out there.
Well, you wanted to play with. I did leave out.
It
Azure.
was
Yeah,
my Azman is a way to manage Azure resources. It's an Azure manager, right? So it tags my resources, and and then deletes them. So it's sort of dual-headed in that it tags things with an expiration date and a bunch of other metadata, and then it deletes them. It deletes them when they expire. And the old one, actually ate itself because at the end of the year, I pushed all the expiration dates to 12/31/2019. Because I was like, I don't know when I'm going to not need this anymore, so I'll just push it out to a date that's really far in the future. But I didn't want it to be the next year because I figure, if I do this, I'll go enforce this, right? And so I tried to force. I didn't force it because it was Christmas time and I wasn't looking at my computer, and most of my Azure resources were gone. The only thing that wasn't gone was the storage account for Azman, because I guess it queued up the deletion of the resource group, and the storage account did not get deleted while everything else did. So, needless to say, Azman needed a few extra things, primarily notification support, so that I could get notified to say, hey, we're going to delete these next week, or these resources are about to die. Do you want them to live on for another month? And then storing the resource group templates. Hey, we could do it with Terraform too. Storing the resource group templates so that we could go and fire these back up later on, because so much of what we were building was functions and Azure AD and a bunch of PaaS services, SQL and Cosmos and whatever. Lewis, and I had a project with a bunch of cognitive services and stuff, and 90% of the Azure side to that was just configuration, and the configuration was the hardest part. Like, the code itself was sitting in a repo somewhere, and you just go deploy the code again. It was the configuration in Azure that I wanted to persist. So that's on our list. In fact, it's in our OneNote. I think Richard corrected us last week in saying they weren't things that Azure does incorrectly. They were things that the Azure portal reveals about myself that I don't like, right? Which I guess is a bit of a difference, a little bit of a semantic difference between the two. The other thing I was thinking about, let me get my calendar out of the way here, because nobody wants to see that. I certainly don't want to see it. The other thing that I was thinking about last night was it would actually be pretty cool to make this work in PowerShell too. So we could do it in automation or do it with the policy remediation silliness that Rich was showing us, right? And so I thought rather than like we'll sort of MVP it out, I think. But what I'm thinking would be, I know they're in full effect today. I should be careful what I wished for.
You need to zoom in, man. Yeah, PowerShell. Jeremy wants some PowerShell. There you go. Be careful what you wish for, exactly.
So anyway, what I was thinking was, we'll MVP it, and because we got stuff like storage bindings and all sorts of cool stuff and functions that'll make this really easy to do. So I'm thinking we MVP it, and then we're going to refactor it and isolate the assemblies, like the sort of core logic, and then if we want to wrap it in PowerShell, we want to do whatever we can.
Yes.
And that way Rich can use it and make fun of it.
That way we can keep everyone happy, because you know how hard it is to satisfy everyone.
Yeah.
We can have a PowerShell, we can have a .NET SDK, we can have a Node SDK. We'll have integrations with. I'm promising too much here, like sales pitch.
That might be kind of.
We have everything.
That might be kind of fun too, to make a Node wrapper for a .NET assembly. Anyway.
You're scaring Node wrapper. No, man, just make it native.
Native. Hey,
Native.
The 15 apps that I use on a daily basis are all Electron apps, so clearly the industry doesn't care about native. That's why I've got 9,000. We've reached critical levels of cursedness, I believe. I mean, surely there's a node. Can we do is like, you know what we ought to do? We should expose it as a comm server and see if we. Surely somebody's done node interop with .NET.
Oh, there's definitely. I mean, Node interrupts with C. So, yeah.
Here we go,
Yeah.
right here. Using a .NET DLL and Node and server-side JavaScript. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, no.
Zoom.
Something's there. There it is.
Oh, H result E fail. Jeremy is not being kind to us because we are going to do some crazy shit.
Well, and the thing is, as soon as I searched for that, Explorer crashed on my machine.
Yeah, obviously you're trying to use .NET with Node. No, I'm not gonna let you do that. Is that the new message for crashing?
Look at that. It's got 2 acts. I think it's actually be kind of cool. I mean, hey, we're open to everybody here. We're the identity group. We got to serve everybody. So I'm down.
Correct.
I'm down with whatever. It says he does. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. When was this last updated? Let's go to GitHub and see when this project was last updated. Ooh. May 3rd, 2018.
5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, it's like I've stopped using this.
Do we not have required .NET? I mean, that should work, right?
Start writing .NET.
And then you can call Node from .NET.
Whoa. This is so meta.
Yeah.
But we want to go the other way around, right? Which is calling .NET from Node.
Yep. FuseBit. So this is what Tomas is working on now.
No, you got FuseBot rather than FuseBit. Oh, FuseBit. Okay.
Huh. Interesting. This looks kind
Feel your pain.
80% solved isn't solved at all. I'll tell you, the best piece of advice I ever got was from an engineering manager who I worked for a long time. And he told me, he said, 90% of the projects on Google Code, so that sort of dates when we had this conversation. He said 90% of the projects on Google Code are 90% finished because the last 10% is hard. And if you can do the last 10%, then you can make a living in doing software. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. We should start doing some software.
We'll just do the 10%. Just give us your 90%, guys, and we'll do the 10%. We'll take a small cut of your profit.
Yeah, 50% cut of the profit, because the 10% is hard, right? So we've got to weight it differently.
True.
Anyway, so we have to pick a new name for Thrazman. I don't know. You know, actually, calling Azman thrashing code would actually be a good name for it, or thrashing Azure resources, because that's essentially what it does. It's in.
Yeah, now you're gonna be in cahoots with Thrazman code.
I mean, we could call it. Let's see. Is it like the Dark Knight, like the hero we need, but not the one we deserve right now? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what we should call it.
Oh, this is Thrazman that ain't working. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. So, so anyway, dark
Azure.
Dark Azure, the dark.
Yeah,
Yeah, there we go.
Dark Azure.
Well, I don't want to call it Dark Azure. The Thrazman. There we go. I think we've got the new name. So I'm just gonna put a new thing here. Oops.
Thrazman.
Rename candidates because more people remember Azman than I thought. So we have Dark Azure, Thrazman, which is probably my favorite one
So far.
But tell us.
Maybe we have a competition on the naming, and whoever wins gets some awesome stickers for the 45. So
Yeah. Well, we got to find. We need more than just stickers now, because who's going to see your sticker? I sit in my basement all day. If I show my wife a sticker, she's gonna be like, "Okay, why'd you put stickers on your laptop?" Like, oh.
let's open it up for debate. And what kind of swag would make your life easier today if we were to send you some awesome swag? Because we've been trying to brainstorm about this, but with no conferences and no traveling, having the badge of honor, which is a sticker, does not count anymore because nobody sees your stickers. So what would you like? Still need a bigger font. I still can't read the menu items on that screen. Yeah. Come on, JP, zoom in. There you go.
I'm trying to zoom, but I've lost my scroll bars.
Thrazman.com is available.
Hmm.
Oh, the domain name.
Ooh, Thrazman.com.
See, people say that they still like stickers. I mean, we're definitely gonna be sending stickers, but I don't know. Would a mug?
What should we?
Would a pillow?
What should we put?
Socks work for you?
What should we put in? What vessel? What branded vessel should they come in?
In that case, we'll exchange stickers then, because I love stickers myself. It's the geek currency.
Yeah.
Man, I remember going to conferences back in the day and exchanging stickers with people. That was so fun. Still too small. I can't even tell this is Ed's.
I mean, okay, it's at 300% zoom now. Surely that must be good enough. All right, so we're gonna. I guess Thrazman it is. Oh, there's my other one, JWT, because of course that's another option. So
yeah, back in the day, it's 10 months ago. 10 months ago is like 10 years in the COVID era.
Yeah.
Like I don't even remember leaving the house or the last time I had jumped in the car.
I use Google Domains now because they give you the privacy stuff for free. But there are other things they do that I don't like, but on balance, I'm kind of okay with it. Okay, so we're going to buy two this time because I actually have another personal project. I don't like that they're called jots because there's literally nothing that makes the ah sound in J, W, or T, and there's no way to read that and have an O or an A or an in there. So we're going to... That's jwt.info. That's what I'm buying that one for.
So Jeremy C saying t-shirts is a great. I suspect that we should be moving into the hoodie era because it's getting colder for some of us. Mugs, socks, phone skins, and pop sockets.
All right, there we have it. Thrazman.com. It's ours, so we've got it. So the name is in. The name is set.
Oh God, you don't take a moment to think about it or sleep over it.
What's wrong with that? It's $12.
No, it's fine. Thrazman, it is.
I mean, it's $12. It's $12 for a whole year. It's $1 a year. WTF SharePoint was my old blog. Now, I'll tell you, WTF SharePoint was a blog about developing SharePoint apps that was built on SharePoint. So it was a SharePoint blog about building SharePoint apps and all the wonkiness you had to do. So I guess I'm a SharePoint refugee. I used to do SharePoint development, and I actually got a cease and desist on the name. But it still works. So if you go to WTFSharePoint.com, right now it just forwards over.
OneClickCorporateEspionage.com.
Yeah, that's one of my identity test domains was oneclickcorporateespionage.com. So, and anyone who's got children under 8 will recognize schlonpufa.dev, but that's a different one. So
I was going to say, what is Pufa?
My son and my daughter love to watch this. It's like a Barbie show or whatever. And they're building the car, like they're building like Barbie's car, you know, and they refer to the exhaust as the schlonpufa.
All right.
And
okay.
I wondered what happened because literally every time I would walk in the house, and they were watching it, I'd hear all this giggling every few minutes, and it was because anytime they mentioned the schlonpufa, both of them, my son and my daughter, would just dissolve into giggles. They thought it was so funny, and so I actually have an Azure AD tenant with that. It's branded hot pink.
I just want to see you walking into customers and doing those demos. Maybe we start using it on the stream.
Yes, there's
Pufa.com.
one-click corporate espionage. One-click corporate espionage is a B2B guest that works for feloniousmultitasking.com. So that's the demo is a B2B thing. So
there's always a story behind JP's demos.
So yeah, I mean, you know, whatever. It is what it is. And then this is my G Suite test account, CambridgeAnalytica.dev. So my alter ego over there is Zuck at CambridgeAnalytica.dev. So, okay. Enough.
This was JP's dream to maybe eventually get hired by Facebook and do some stuff with your data.
You could be a mole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we actually have one other one. So we've got Azman.io. That was the old one. But we've got az.wtf. That might be a good one too. That might be a good place to host this.
Yes.
The other thing I'm thinking is this definitely needs to be multi-tenant. So you can run the code on your own if you'd like. But if you're feeling particularly trustworthy and you want to let my service principal and my code run in your tenant, you can do that too. Because we're all writing the code together, so there certainly won't be anything malicious in there, right?
And it's open source.
Okay. Okay, so
what do we have so far? Maybe do a recap of what kind of code we wrote so far and what it does, so we can pick it up from there.
All right, so let's go look at what we built last. We'll go look at where we are as of last week. So, at the Azure portal, let's go see what we've got. I'll zoom in. So, we've got a resource group called the Azman Cometh and the Azman Taketh Away. So we've got our function and we've got a storage account. And in our storage account, I believe we have a queue. Let's go look at our queues. Storage queues, because we're just using storage queues for now. Looks like we don't have any yet. But we've got our function. And if we go look at our function code, we have on resource group create. And on resource group create.
Yeah, because we were testing everything locally last time, right? Remember?
That's right. Yeah, we were running pretty much exclusively locally. So on resource group create is giving is our webhook receiver because we have an Azure alert as well. So
you do one click zoom in that one, just one more.
Which one?
Both. I mean, everything is tiny here, but the code, especially the code.
Okay. If we show hidden types, we also configured our alerts. So we have our new resource group created alert, and we have our webhook, which is an action group. So the webhook is registered, our function is registered as a webhook to receive an alert whenever the new resource group created alert gets fired, right?
Yep.
So this way, when a new resource group is created, our function is going to fire off and it's going to go tag it and do a few other things and sort of start the whole process. So as of right now, let's go back to our code. As of right now, zoom this in one more time. Let's get this editor out of the way. So
Perfect.
Here we have on resource group create. We have our incoming HTTP request because this is the webhook, right?
Yep.
We have a queue output. So this is our storage queue output. And functions, if you're not familiar, functions has a really cool binding system. And the binding system in functions is a way to say, hey, I want to go right to a queue, or read from Cosmos, or read from storage, or wait for a webhook from Graph, or whatever. And instead of me having to do all the work to say create a new storage client and connect to storage and then handle putting stuff in there, instead, with a function binding, with the queue binding specifically, we add an item to this collector. That's it.
Yep.
Once we add it, which we're doing down here, once we add our object, the function's runtime handles serializing it to JSON and pushing it up into into a storage queue, and we don't have to worry about manipulating the data at all, which makes it pretty easy to start using these. So our function's pretty simple. It doesn't really do anything. It reads a payload, which is the payload that comes from Azure Monitor. So it's an Azure Monitor driven payload. We deserialize it and go look at some of the data that's in it. So in particular, we're looking at the status and the substatus. So there are two events that get fired every time you create one. One is that the deployment was submitted, and so it's still in progress. And then the other one was that it succeeded and that it was actually created. We only really care after it's created because we're going to go and tag it. And because we're going to go and tag it, we need to have one, because if we don't have one to tag, then our tagger is going to fail. So, right now, the bits of data that we need for tagging to occur, the resource group name, the subscription ID, who created it, and when it was created. So the date created here is actually the event timestamp from the activity log. So if, for example, Thrazman stopped working for...
Thrazman.
Say it stopped working for 5 days, right? The alerting system had some sort of an issue. We'd get the actual timestamp of the alert event, so when the alert happened and when the resource group was created, rather than the time that we received it. So if we're slow, if we're backed up, whatever, we can at least key our time off of the timestamp. I don't think it's going to be a big deal because we're going to round to the nearest day anyway, but just in case, something to keep in mind. And then we tell the caller, hey, we're done.
Exactly.
So, Thrazman. Should we go is it too early or too late for us to go change our namespaces everywhere?
Nah, it's too early.
I got to change my...
It's never too late to change namespaces. I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
The T-hash man. Is that sort of like, what was that, Tracer T? We're going to go hack this guy with the Tracer T command.
Oh, I was just going to mention that. You're watching the YouTube videos, somebody's hacking with trace commands. Oh, God, those were the days.
Okay, so we've got our function to receive a resource group created. We're all ready to go here, right? So the next thing we need is the thing that's actually going to go and tag the resource groups, right? So...
So it's like, do you have a refactoring tool? You know, there's a refactoring tool. Right? We don't have refactoring tools. We do it by hand, artisan style.
I'll tell you the thing is, so you and I have been doing this for 2.5 months.
2.5 months.
And I've gotten kind of used to every Tuesday and Thursday having essentially having live bidirectional critiques as you're writing code. Like, oh, you're not using the right IDE, you're not writing the right things. You misspelled this. It's actually kind of interesting. There was a big discussion.
Yeah.
There was a discussion the other day on Twitter about, how do you screen people and interview them, and I think you just go live stream with them for 20-30 minutes and see how it goes.
Yeah. See how they take a critique, right? Because we have thick skin and we're open to feedback. But imagine trying to critique someone, like, what are you talking about? I love it. That's the way it all. I mean, it's interesting.
So one of the other things we talked about last week was too was the intention is we are going to not to remember.
Oh man,
Well,
yeah,
we were
you're losing your train of thought. You can't type and try to speak at the same time.
there was a reason that we were using VS Code instead of Visual Studio or Rider or anything else. I don't remember what it was now, but maybe it's just because of this hot pink color scheme. I don't know. Anyway, so the next function, the next thing that we need to do is our tagging, the thing that actually does the tagging, right? So I'm just going to call this tag resource group, and this is we need a queue trigger on here. So
it does indeed. You're absolutely right, Jeremy. It works great for debugging functions. But Visual Studio and Visual Studio for Mac also allow you to work in debug functions. They're just different ways of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
In fact, Rider also has an Azure Toolkit extension, so it also allows you to write and debug functions.
Yeah.
We're impartial to tooling. Use whatever it works. If you roll in Vim, VI, Emacs, or Notepad++, you're still our friend.
So it's actually kind of neat. So we have our first one up here. This is what's receiving the webhook, right? Somebody yesterday, I was reading on Twitter yesterday, somebody, because Thrashing Code's talking about emojis. I guess we need to add custom emojis, because I've only got one, which is the typical, the only one that I've got is this one, which I'm going to put in here. This is the typical sort of, oh, you did something wrong on the internet, which is the fastest way to get the correct answer, right, is to just be wrong somewhere.
Yep.
So we have, let's see, it's called, how do I get this emoji thing to work? See, I'm too old, to be quite honest. I'm too old for Twitch. I don't know. Sorry, it's an emote. So this is the one that we have, which is our well actually one. So yeah, and Thrashing, we had Martin from JetBrains on a couple weeks ago. We were working. He was building features into Rider. Into the Azure stuff for Rider to add RBAC permissions to a storage account. It was a lot of fun. It was really, really cool to see how it works.
Yeah, we got so close to actually completing the feature. We ran out of time. I think it was Teams that was killing his Rider build, and we couldn't get it to compile and build and run it on the show. But he pinged us later to show us that the feature actually made it into a PR and that it's going to be released soon. So live adding features about Azure AD and Azure with Rider on our stream.
Yep.
This is happening.
So our first queue is going to receive the webhook from Monitor, and it's going to queue up a request that's going to happen. And so we can use the type here. So we're not stringly typed, we're strongly typed. So we've got our type here, tagging request model. That's what we put into the queue. The cool thing is we add our queue trigger here to our next function, right? And the function's runtime will handle deserializing it to our type, which is super cool. So instead of us having to yet again go through and write a bunch of code to serialize and deserialize these objects, instead we'll just get it, right? So yeah, it was weird. His microphone wouldn't work with Teams, and then as soon as he exited the meeting, his whole workstation went back to normal. So
yeah, I think it was IntelliSense or picking up the artifacts of the build. So as he was trying to call into namespaces, and IntelliSense was not working inside Rider. Yeah. Something was blocking it. And I think it runs a service, right? So it has a language service that runs as a web service, if I remember correctly how he explained it. That would push the information into the IDE. And that was the bit that was not working for some weird reason. That service would not return any calls back to the ID, so he couldn't really reference the namespaces. And because we had just created a new feature with a new namespace, if I remember correctly, it was just not showing up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes
So,
with Teams.
so first we gotta connect to Azure. Then we're going to find our resource group, and then we're going to tag it. And
That'll be all in the queue message, right?
yeah, so all the data should be in the queue message, and because we're using the queue trigger, we should get our request model as an object. So we shouldn't have to do a whole lot of work. So the things we need out of it, primarily, we're going to need the subscription ID, and we're going to need the resource group name. So let's go look at the Azure management libraries.
For .NET A, go AZ, aka.ms AZ SDK.
aka.ms AZ SDK. Okay.
Yep. These are the new SDKs for all the languages that we have. The team is doing an amazing job here to release as fast as possible, as quickly as possible for everything. I can't even use Teams right now. Sorry, Janisku. I don't know if you got some remnants from yesterday's outage, but it should be working fine for everyone. Maybe a restart.
Hey, thanks. Thanks, Bolt.io. Thanks for following us.
Yeah. Ooh, nice. There you go.
Yeah.
It actually works.
Yeah.
We need to fix the coloring there because the blue on purple doesn't really show properly.
Yeah, that's true.
We need to make it more prominent.
Okay, so do we actually have resource group management in here, or is this accessing the services itself?
Oh, wait a minute. We have the data plane and we have the management plane. Maybe the management plane is not here.
Yeah, so historically these were the Azure SDK was for connecting to Azure resources themselves, not for managing them. Although some of them are
consuming, right?
Yeah, Service Bus
consumption.
Yeah, like Service Bus was one of the weird ones where it had everything in one, but in fact I think the new one is different. So let's see.
Go and have a look.
Let's see what we've got. So this is in the docs. Looks like it was recently. Oh no, this is a blog post. We don't want that. So this is Azure SDK for .NET. And then this is also Azure SDK for .NET. Oh, look at me. There's a giant management libraries button right in the middle. So,
it's okay.
Resource management, compute, Cosmos, network, resources. This is the one that we're looking for. So it looks like we only have previews. Is this true?
Yeah, we're living dangerously, man. What are you talking about? Preview.
No, I get it. So this is, let's see, Azure Resource Manager resources. So let's go look at the docs. I'm really curious to see how this works. Okay, there's, boy, this is this is a pretty scant doc. It's also only about 3 days old.
Maybe we just released them. That's insane.
Hey, that would be cool if we're getting in. If we just happen to time our work to the time that they're doing stuff. Not that was a coincidence or an accident at all.
Remember the ident.web stuff? I stumbled across accidentally onto that library, which we had John Mark before talking about it. I was person zero or patient zero to actually use the first NuGet package. Most of the teams at Microsoft did not even know they had released as a NuGet package.
Yeah.
Because you had to reference the whole project. So I was like, what are you talking about? There's a NuGet package out there. It's a 0.0.0 does preview, but it works.
Yeah.
So living dangerously. Maybe we stumble across this one for the first time.
So the last time I did this, we used the Fluent libraries, which, I mean, I know everybody's all down with the Fluent thing. I personally am not a big fan of it because it makes it super hard to debug, and I just don't like it. But some people like it, so whatever. Look at this.
Yeah, it's one statement to rule them all, and then good luck if you misconfigure something there.
Yeah.
I like this one.
Okay, cool. So this is updating a resource group. Looks pretty familiar.
Oh, look at that! I even add tags for you.
Yeah. So
they actually wrote the code for us.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Awesome.
So tags are just a string dictionary, which is great. And we set it to tags. We call the client create or update. Man, that's awesome. Love it.
It is awesome.
I'm just going to take it.
You just need a Azure.identity up there so to authenticate.
Yep. So we got to get that done. So let's see. So what's the name of this library? What is the NuGet package for this? It is azure.resourcemanager.resources. Okay, easy enough. So
Just copy there you go. Copy the package reference, add it to your CS Pros, and you're done.
oh
Or have you already done that?
no, the whole thing was there. You're right. Let's put it in here.
I know it's weird, but I like to do that rather than the .NET add package
Yep.
command. I don't know. That's how I roll, but totally up to you.
All right, so let's let this restore.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Damn, I can't believe it's so easy to work with resources these days.
Copy paste driven development. I mean, in fairness, all we're really doing is gluing together like 10 API calls.
Correct.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're doing it this way, but like Rich complained last week that we should be able to do this with policy, which,
And PowerShell. Nah, man.
well,
We'll,
there's some validity to the fact that we could potentially do it with PowerShell and with policy, and that's why I was thinking if we like after we sort of get our MVP going, let's go wrap the main logic and put it in assemblies and let it be exposed via PowerShell. So that way you can sort of do your own thing. If you wanted to bring your own tagging logic, right?
yes.
So
Yeah.
okay. So the first thing we have to do is get connected up. Get connected up to creating our clients. So it's a resources management client. So let's go create us one of those. Let's see, resource manager client. Resource manager client.
Just remember to new up your Azure identity, which I don't think we have included in our
No, we haven't done it yet.
packages.
Yeah, we haven't done. Well, but
Yeah.
wouldn't it be brought in by this?
I don't know. That's a good question. Try to do a. I don't know. Using Azure, Microsoft. Is it Azure? Is Microsoft? I don't know.
Oops, azure.resourcemanager.resources. Okay. Yeah.
One SDK to rule them all. Well, it's multiple SDKs for multiple languages, Janiska. But yes, it's the new SDK to rule them all, and the team is doing an amazing job in unifying the API surface. Absolutely.
It's a resources management client. There we go. And it needs a subscription ID, which we have, and a credential. Easy enough. I think we have both of those.
Ooh. So you're not passing a credential manager. You're passing that.
Well, we need a credential of some kind. So we've got the default. What is it? Default Azure.
You need a token credential, right? So you need a token credential client, I think, if I remember correctly. Default. Why not chain credential client?
Well, we can do a chained one because we're going to use MSI when we get up there anyway, right? Is it
Exactly.
Is it not default Azure? I guess we can do a new chained to chained. Sorry. Let's go back to the docs and see. So we are doing.
I like chain because you can be explicit about which providers you're bringing in. For me, it's more
verbose.
More verbose and more explicit. Like I know exactly what will work when. Default is I'm leaving it to fate.
I guess you're right. We do need to pull Azure Identity in separately.
I see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd have to do that separately, but that's okay. So
Well, maybe it assumes they have some token that you're passing into, and that's a whole conversation that we need to have at some point. But working with the Azure Identity and having a token there is something that we need to talk about at some point and cover. Like that end-to-end scenario that we were discussing yesterday with one of our internal teams.
Yeah, so should we use mainline or should we use the beta? I wonder what the difference is.
Beta.
Well, let's see what the difference is, because I don't want to...
Oh, you know what? I think we may not be able to get the chained credential in the mainstream one.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a month. I suspect. Oh, you know what? It could be on the September release that it was including the chain credential. So the latest release may have the chain credential built in.
So here's chain token. Let's switch to 1, 2, 3 and see if chained is still in here. Yeah, it's still there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So But default, I mean, I like the diagram here. So default starts at the environment, falls down to managed identity. So in production, you're here. Then it falls to Visual Studio and VS Code authentication, and then finally CLI, and lastly it prompts you, which it looks like it's
Oh, in that
disabled.
case,
So let's just
covers
use
everything.
Let's use default, because default has pretty much everything we need in it
everything.
for both local and when we get deployed into Azure.
And for people that have not used managed identity or they don't know what it is, if you are working locally, it uses your local account that you're signed into either the CLI or Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, and will take those credentials and use them to communicate with your Azure services. So important bit here, if you are going to use default credentials, you need to have access to the resources that you're going to hit. So you need to have contributor rights at minimum. If you deploy that same service to Azure, then it will try to look for a managed identity which should be configured on, say, your Azure Functions to speak to your queue. Again, that needs to be configured. But once it's configured, you don't have to worry about passing credentials or secrets or API keys or what have you. It will work out of the box. So very secure, and it creates this kind of a fluid workflow where you don't have to worry about it's running locally, now I need to change my code for production, and so on and so on.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's cool that you can kind of, you can do, there are different kinds of overrides. If you need to use a user managed identity, which we'll use a system assigned managed identity this time around. But if you wanted to use a user one, you could. If you want to use, if you have your own credentials for one reason or the other because of the environment you're in or whatever, lots of different overrides. And that's what the chained one is, right? The chain token credential is all about you choose which ones you want. So if you know you're going to use managed identity and you're going to use, VS Code or whatever, you sort of choose which ones you want to put together. And a few weeks ago, we worked on an MSAL token credential that wrapped an existing MSAL. So if you had already built it with MSAL because you needed MSAL for something else in your app, if you already needed it, it was available. And so you could wrap that MSAL client and use that to get tokens for your Azure resources, which was pretty cool.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So we've got our resource management client, and we've got our subscription ID that came out of here, which is great. So in our resource manager client, we need to get our group, right? So resource group.
Yeah, was that not in the code that we saw in the sample? Should be there, right?
Yeah, but if I don't write it, I'll forget it. So let's try a get. Let's see, what does get return if it doesn't exist?
Get async. It will probably return null, right?
Maybe. Well, let's go back to the docs and see.
You are checking the docs rather than running it and seeing what happens and blow up. I am impressed. Where's the John I know?
Well, I don't know. I just kind of feel like
You're following best practices for our lovely audience. I love it.
well,
See, coding in front of people changes your behavior.
yeah, I'm actually writing long variable names too. If we look at the old code, it's like var a equals this, var b, var c, var d equals c plus a, and you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, so resources. These are these docs, which are not super useful. These are the management docs. So I was kind of looking for like SDK docs that would tell us what this returns. Is there a get on here? No. I wonder where those docs would be. Here we go. Get.
There should be a link for the docs.
Let's see, resources. Let's look in here. Get or resources. Resource groups. Resource group. Here we go.
You might not get loads out of that. What happens? Zoom in, please. Keep on forgetting. I'll stop you from driving from now on. There you go. It doesn't say what it returns. Love it.
Well, I can't. This is just for the class. I'm trying to find the method. Get. I guess we'll just do a get async. And we need a name. So in our request is a resource group name.
Yes, that's the queue message that we named request.
Yep. So this should...
Yeah, you missed. We said 7 a.m. So did you all not update the Twitch stream name for today?
No, we did. He was here. Yeah, we did. But he was here for half an hour ago, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, he had to...
Yeah, between 7:30 and 8 a.m. Pacific time. But it's going to be recorded, and we'll take that segment and separate it out. So it will be available on YouTube in maybe by the end of the day.
Yeah, we had to bolt, or he had to bolt because he had a meeting he had to do. He had to go do actual work. So
I object, sir. I object. That was. I mean, he's going to do the actual work, but I thought we were doing work here as well.
Yeah. Well, we are doing work. So.
Yeah.
So let's see. So resource group. So this has a value that hangs off of it. So gets a resource group. Okay, that's useful. Let's see. It comes back to the task of an Azure response with a resource group. So I guess if the resource group is not null, then our resource group, dot value. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to rename some of these. So our resource group request is what this is, and then we'll check to see if it's null, and then we'll just create us a resource group here. Resource group. What do you get back out of this? That is using the models. So our resource group and if our, actually, you know what we'll do? Because if our resource group is null and we can't find it, we're going to have to fail anyway. So, what are you laughing at?
Our auto mod held a message for profanity.
What was it?
I think we pushed Russian code over the edge.
Well, you know, let's see, it says... it's, you know, what you said is while what you said is funny. However, what's funnier is what this thing says, which is 425 show used, add permitted term long ass.
I did not press allow. So how did
I did?
How did that happen?
I did.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, oh, the Autobots are taking over now, and they're approving code.
Perhaps
as it goes.
It is a long as variable name.
Long as. Yeah.
Anyway, so if this is done, we're done. And then we'll just set our resource group. We'll just create us a new variable here called group. Var resource group equals resource group request. Resource group request dot value. Okay. So there are a couple things we want.
That bracket, that 67 line's out of place and just it's throwing me off.
There you go. Feel better?
66 needs to have. There you go. Thank you.
You know, I probably shouldn't say this, but we were actually thinking the other day about we should build us a some sort of like an Azure backup system, and we could call it back that as up. Actually, hey, we
are, you know, we're so close to that line of.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
not being safe for work.
I mean, I'm 35, so when I was
NSFW.
When I was a teenager, you know, Juvenile was he was big. Whether or not you like him is irrelevant, but he was big back in the 90s and early 2000s when I was a teenager. So, you know, it seemed to make sense to me. My wife thought it was hilarious because she's, you know, but
we're still juvenile. I know.
Anyway. So we've got our resource group, and we have the group itself, and then the group itself. No comment.
No comment.
So the first thing we need to do is check if there are already tags on it, right? Because we don't want to purge any tag any tags that we may have. So let's first, let's see. So tags dot any. Oops. Do we not have an any? Yeah, we should have an any. That system dot link. So we should have a dot any. So if there are any tags, if there are tags,
Copy paste the damn code, man. It's there.
well, no, their code isn't accounting for what we're accounting for.
Fair enough.
So if the resource already has tags, we don't want to remove them, right?
Well, if it has the right tags or the tags that we need, not all the tags, because adding, I don't think it removes.
Well, you say that. However, if we look, no, but if we look at their code, their code overwrites. It sets the entire tag's property.
Oh, it does?
So
I thought that's update or insert.
Well, but it
Create or update async.
no, but it's setting it. It's creating or updating the resource
Oh.
group, but the tags property itself. This is this is an overwrite.
So you need to store the existing tags into a temporary variable and then add them all together back into the. Should we do that?
Yeah. So first we need the tags that we want to put on there, right?
But is it like, do the tags have any metadata that we need to be concerned about, like created or assigned or whatever?
Maybe.
Do we care about that? Probably.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I've got tags. So we have our tag suite that we're going to put on there.
Correct.
So the tags that we are going to put on are going to be, we have expires, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So the first one we need is expires. And the expiration date we need to figure out. The next one we're going to do is tagged by. And then,
Thrazman.
huh?
It's tagged by Thrazman.
And the owner, that's going to come out of the request. So request dot, oops. Yeah, request. Oh, look at me. I'm writing JSON. I shouldn't be. Request dot, why am I not getting my thing here? Something's not right. I guess it's because these are all broken too.
What is broken? Oh, that one.
Well, it should be a comma. All right, because it's a, there we go.
It is a comma, yeah.
See?
Well, you had semicolon. You didn't have comma.
Yeah.
You were
No,
doing JSON.
no, totally get it. I'm with you. Okay, so the owner, we're going to default to the user who created it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else?
I think that's what we need, right?
So those are our base tags. These are the tags we're always going to add. So first we need to go get an expiration date. So let's calculate our expiration date. What kind of expiration dates are we going to use here?
Do you want to say 30 days?
I want to say 30 days. 30 days is my default. We should probably make that
Optional or configurable?
configurable for sure, right? So let's calculate our date. So our request has a date created on it. And we want to add days 30. To do, move this to configuration. I actually had my old Visual Studio, I had a to do. Instead of to do, I would write LOL and it would still mark it, which was fun. It would still show up in my task list. So to do. So we're gonna let's see our new date. So actually, before we do this, I want, let's see, we'll take our date created. I want to round it. Let's see, I want to get the we'll add our days, and then I want to round it to the nearest day. So let's get just the date component.
Hey, you know what we need right now? I need a break.
We're gonna take
Like a 5-minute break.
a 5-minute break.
My teeth are I'm going to use your expression. My teeth are floating. Does everybody else know that teeth floating expression? Coming from Europe, that's a new one for me.
Well, you know, coming from Europe, you couldn't get back right now. If you came to America from Europe, you wouldn't be able to make it back home.
Are you planning on sending me back? Is that a subtle message?
No. I'm glad you're here. Otherwise, we couldn't do this every week. All right, let's go take a.
We could, but it will be called not the 4 to 5 show because it's too early. But maybe is there a code for too late on HTTP? Because that would be like 5 p.m. at night,
It's
right?
just a timeout. So the timeout show
Or
was
service not found.
yeah
404.
503 service unavailable. Hey, we shouldn't be joking about service unavailable today. Not after yesterday. All right, let's go take a quick break.
Acknowledge. Oh, try again later. There you go. 429.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, that's so close to 425. Although 45 has such a nice ring to it.
And you know what we should do? That's it. So instead of calling it the 425 show after dark, we'll call it the 429 show, which is our evening, it'll be our evening show, and it'll just be us trying it again later.
418, the teapot one?
Yeah, 418 will be teapot. Now, while we're here, briefly, I'm just going to throw this up there. http.cat is probably one of my favorite websites because it has a cat for every code. And one of them is 405, method not allowed, I believe. And it's probably my favorite one because I don't know how this got photoshopped like that. But
Oh, I like the 405. That is insane.
That's
he probably
funny.
using some hot dog over there and they replaced it with a cat.
And I don't know if they've got one for 425. They do, but it's an unordered.
Sure do.
This one's unordered.
What's our
collection.
mascot?
I don't know.
Oh, what? Socks? Oh, I like it. That can be our mascot.
It's an unordered. Yeah, enhance your calm. Something tells me 420 isn't an actual HTTP status code, but. And then, yeah.
Still can't see anything on that menu bar. One would just have to pretend.
Well, but do you need to see what's in the menu bar? Here, I'll put the link up. How about that? It's https://http.cat. These are great for placeholders, too, like for your error pages when you're in development, or hell, while you're in production, too. Who cares? Anyway, all right. Let's take a quick break.
Right.
And
break.
we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Into.
Okay, we're back. What happened while we were gone? Did anything break? Yeah, like 5 minutes.
No, somebody said Opera.
Opera, the browser?
They believe that you're using Opera and you're disguising it.
Can you still download Opera?
I think it's still available. But can you just go and find it?
Opera, the browser. I want to make sure I search for the right thing. Yeah, you can still download Opera.
Damn. I thought that Brave was all the rage these days.
Yeah, I looked at Brave, but there's a bunch of weirdness in there about like coins, and I'm like, whatever. I just use a Pi-hole.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's see. Does it work? Oh, see, I hate these kind of installers. It's a 2 meg installer, which means it goes and actually downloads everything else later. Opera offline installer. Let's see. No, I'm not going to get it from askvg.com. That seems...
Oh, damn.
Is it pretty fast? All right. You know what? I'll entertain you. I'll humor and try Opera.
AZ Wildfire says real coders make their own browsers. I totally agree with you.
Lucky for me.
Join us next week with AZ Wildfire while we'll build our own browser.
Lucky for me, I'm not a real coder. Thus, I will not be building my own browser.
You know what? AZ Wildfire can whip up a new browser using PowerShell.
He probably could, to be quite honest. I remember I built a WinForms app years and years ago, and the WinForms app would go to this one of those silly video game websites where you could play Flash games. This is how long ago it was, and it would just pull the SWF so I could play the game without all the Chrome around it. So I guess in a way I made my own browser, right? Does that count? Oh no! This is doing a bunch of stuff. It opened my settings to try to make me change my web browser. That's pretty
Oh wow!
That's pretty guerrilla.
That is invasive.
Now the question is, can I get to the Azure portal from here? And my guess is no, but we'll try.
You actually installed Opera on your main machine?
Yeah, I gotta pave it anyway. Let me go find one of these. Let
Why?
me find a phone that actually is connected that's gonna let me sign in.
Wait. Are you going to repave your machine, the one that you just installed, the flight simulator, and the 20 terabytes of data you downloaded?
Yeah, why not? Gigabit, man.
I keep on forgetting.
92, approve.
So we're using Opera to sign in into Azure. Well, the Azure portal was built to work with any browser.
Oh, well, sure, the portal. I was more curious as to whether or not our corporate policies would let me do it.
Oh,
Hey, yeah, it does. Look at that. So I guess we're going to be using Opera for a little bit for an as yet undefined reason. Okay. Anyway,
well,
back to
there's a
work.
defined reason. That's Thrashing Code banging on about it. And
Yes,
we're
Azure
open to
AD,
feedback. There you
Azure
go.
AD is working today. Thank you. Thank you, AZ Wildfire.
I think Azure Wildfire is just messing with us, considering they should know first. But it's fine.
So now we've got our expiration date. So we're going to add 30 days, but we just want the date. And there's a reason for this. If we use the creation time, it's a fully qualified time. So
This is what you did
it's a
before,
date.
right?
Yeah.
In your previous code, you had the full qualified
Yeah.
daytime.
So it's the date and the time, which was okay, but it had the problem of all of the tags essentially had unique values because it was down to millisecond precision. And so I couldn't filter to say, hey, what's gonna get whacked next week, or what's gonna get whacked in a month, because the filters were all way too long. So
Hey Google, what is shutting down today? That would be the question. Is how you do it.
So yeah, yeah. Hey, what resources are on the chopping block this week? So instead, I'd rather use a date, and it's twofold. For one, by using the date only, our granularity is 1 day, so I get filtering by the day. But then the other thing that'd be really cool is instead of running the expiration stuff every 10 minutes, which is what I was doing before, instead we just run it once a day, or maybe twice a day for the sake of posterity. But we only have to do it once a day because the most granular it'll ever be is once a day because of the dates,
Once a day.
right?
Yeah. By the way, your voice is crackling quite a bit since you installed Opera. Coincidence? I don't think so. No, honestly, the sound is coming distorted. I don't know if I'm the only one listening to it or hearing it, but there was a lot of crackle there.
Wait a minute. So I'm finally getting back in the chat to figure out. Okay. Oh, he was saying, why am I using Opera when I wasn't using Opera? Because he's saying that Edge was Opera, and then we went and downloaded Opera.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I'm with you now. Okay,
You fell into Thrashing Code's trap.
so we're gonna two-string this date, and there are lots of different date formats. I used to use O all the time, but that's not the one we're gonna use, and I don't really want to do my own format. Let's go see what formats we have available. So let's see, .NET date formats.
Do the non-American one, the widely, universally accepted one, which should be date, month, year, month, day.
So I think we're going to use short date pattern. Or sorry, that's short time. I want short date. Da, da, da. I'm going to do year, month, day.
Is the victory for the date format or the victory for installing Opera? I am confused. That's a vague victory comment. We're all developers here. We don't take vagueness too well.
Okay, so the short date is... The short date pattern is, unfortunately...
Oh, there you go. Everyone's agreeing. Year, month, date.
Yeah.
Why not use ticks? No.
Because tick...
No. You can query them.
Well, there's some question on tick precision too, right? I read an article, like literally in a physical magazine years ago, that ticks. There's something about ticks. I have to go look it up before I say anything, because I'll probably say the wrong thing. But yeah, we're not going to use these, so I guess we'll just use our own. Let's see.
YYMMDD.
YYYYMMDD.
Yes.
Ticks. Come on, Callaway. All right.
It's lame.
So YYYY dash, and then what is it? Is it lowercase d or uppercase d?
I think lowercase mm will be the numeric one. Uppercase returns some weird format, if I remember correctly.
So D is the lowercase d is the day.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do year, month, which that's capital M. So YYMMDD, right?
Yep.
So that's our new expiration date, which will be great. And then we're going to tag by, and then we've got an owner. Now, there was one extra thing. So the previous version of the Azman, let me go pull this up.
The old Azman, the new Thrazman.
So the old version, which is at Azure Tag Manager, use this name-based tagging thing, right? So it was hyphen delimited, and the first three were special magic strings, and then everything else was whatever was left over. And I kind of liked it because I actually ended up filtering by customer pretty frequently. So let's re-implement this.
But if it's a single tenanted app, do you need to, like if you're only building software for your company, do you still need to have the company name?
Sure, why not? It could be. It doesn't have to be the customer name. You could change it. It doesn't have to be customer. It could be any number. You could tag it whatever you want. It could be project. It could be org. It could be, whatever. It could be whatever you want it to be. For me, customer was a good segment, but you don't have to use it. You could be whatever you want it to be. I'm going to keep it with customer because that's what I want, but you could change it to be whatever. These are just strings, right? So now let's do our custom string. So here's a sample. So let's look at the resource group name. So if the resource group, name, well, let's do a split on hyphen. Let's just do this, right? So we'll call this group name pieces. So group name pieces.any. And actually, really what we're interested in is the length. I don't really like the multiple enumeration here, but we'll deal with it for now.
I'm just answering why
right.
we're not using daytime.
So if we have, let's see, if we have more greater than or equal to 3 pieces, then we can kind of do the whole suite, right? So our tags add. What's our first one? Our first one's going to be what it's supposed to do. So I've got like service, test, demo, whatever.
Yep.
So the first one we will call function. And the value will be the first piece. And then
Thrashing code is saying we really should just shift to something more accurate for daytime, like start date. I know. Start date? I didn't even know start date existed.
Is there a let's see, a new date dot to start date? I don't see it in there. To start.
Time to write an extension.
Actually, Now that you mention it, that's a great idea. We should totally add an extension called toStarDate, and that'll be our date that we use for this.
Is it the log blah blah from Picard when he would use Stardate? Is that where it's from?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't watch much, but yeah.
Oh.
We're going to put an extension method on date
Nice.
time.
It's actually a whole thought out time date system. I bet there's a Wikipedia link to that.
Yeah, no. This is a bad idea, because then everybody's going to tell me I don't know what star dates are, and it's going to end poorly for
Yeah.
me. So you know what? I'm not going to worry about it.
Captain's log. What are you deleting today?
You know, we could have fun with it then. Is there a star date? Is there a star date converter? Now to
There must be.
star date. Oh, there is one.
If those SDKs had cost and billing too, there is no code button. Captain's log, start date, blah, slaps Christos. Yeah, I deserve a good slapping.
What's today?
Because today
The
it's
29th?
the 25th. 25th, I think.
29th. Wow. Come on, Christos.
Oh wow! I need to wake up. I need more coffee. 25th. It's almost payday.
Surely there must be a formula somewhere.
Surely. I mean, that probably used some API in the back.
Oh, look, there's a WikiHow article about it. So what?
There you go.
So
There's a wiki.
1 year is 1,000 units. Well, understand how long a year is. Oh, I see. So 1,000 units is 1 year, which means 1 day is 365 divided by 1,000, or 1,000 divided by 365. That gets us our day, and then, oh yeah, we will add. Somebody should file an issue on this repo to add Stardate as an acceptable time granularity. Okay. Anyway, so my next tag is going to be customer. And I'm going to use my second group name piece here for that. Group name pieces 1. And our next one will be environment. And that's our... I don't know.
I'm thoroughly disappointed. Oh, there's a CSR project. Sorry, there's a code project for this, and I suspect there's a library. Oh no, they have the calculation here. Do you want it?
No, I mean, I guess we can do it. Why not?
I added the link. There you go.
And then we'll just do a string join on the remaining pieces. We'll put our dash back in. And we'll do group name pieces dot skip, and we'll skip the first 3. Okay. So this will get us the rest. So for this one, this would be service. This would be MSFT. This would be prod. And this would be asman main compute. So this would be the rest of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now we've got our tags ready. And then the last thing we need to do is if the resource group has any tags, if it has any tags, then we need to preserve those. So what we'll do is our tags append or insert. No, I guess we can't insert them. We'll just do an append, and we will append resource group.tags. In fact, we should probably do this at the very beginning because we're going to override it anyway, right? And that way our original tags will stay there. Oh no, what have we done? So append. Oh, it's interesting. Why did a pen show up?
It's not an extension method for...
We don't.
What is our tags? Our tags is a...
Dictionary of string.
Oh.
So this is looking for
I
a
think for...
key value pair. So
Oh, you need to add them append them one at a time. You can't add the range.
well, we're gonna do it the other way. So many allocations.
We got plenty of memory. Don't worry about it. Oh, it needs to be a key value pair?
That's what it says.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, you can't create
Key value pair is not resolving, by the way. Why?
key value pair of string. String. Yeah, that seems kind of something about that doesn't seem right. Does not see. So dictionary string does not contain a definition for append. Huh. And it's not a queryable. It's just a dictionary. So that doesn't seem. It seems a little. I'll be honest. It seems a little strange.
Union. Can you do union?
Ah, there we go.
So our tags, union, resource group tags.
Yeah.
It still asks for a key value pair, though.
That's okay. So this is it's an dictionary. The union's looking for. The union has a couple different overloads, but it is enumerable a key value pair. So that's good. Okay, cool. Sweet.
Thank
you.
you. Bolt.io.
So now we've got ours together. Although I think so we can preserve the order. We're going to move this up, which means we'll have to change our initializer here. That's okay. So a union works without us even having to check if any exist already.
That's a good point because it's not going to remove them.
Yep. So just move this up here. Get ours added in. And then I'll union them again. I union them with the code I've already written. That would be awesome. Be a lot easier.
Why are you doing it twice?
Huh? Well, so
why do you need to do it twice?
I don't need to do it twice. I was hoping I could just keep these without doing a bunch of adds, but I think I'm going to have to just add them. So we're going to add our
remove the union.
We're going to add our we're going to add our base ones essentially. So this is our sort of standard set that we're going to have. We're just going to add these three. And we get the owner in here. And we can get rid of this here. Okay. So now when we're building out our tags, we'll go ahead and get the original tags, if any exist, in here. And we've got our 3 new tags that we're adding. So expires tagged by an owner. And then if you if you want to use the dash thing that we're using, which I do, then we're going to do that. And then we just stuff everything at the end. So our last step then is to use our resource group.
Wait, do we still need line 77 to 83, 84?
Yeah, because that's another set of our tags. Those are all the tags that we're using, that we're adding to it.
And why are you doing equals or greater than 3?
Because if I have more than 3 pieces, then that means that I'm following this nomenclature or whatever, right? This pattern. There's probably a better way to do it, to take the ones that you've got. But I've got 3 tags that I want to generate based on this.
But you might already have those tags anyway. Why are you adding them again?
Why would I have these already? The resource group just got created.
Oh, just go create it,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I guess
So why
you
would?
could add your own if you wanted.
No, I'm just curious to see what the like the count will already be equal to 3 anyway. Now that check does not make any sense. If you just create the resource group, you probably don't have any resources. I suspect that you automated that and you didn't do it through the portal. Or are we assuming that that resource can also come through the portal? So we might have some resources, some resource tags. In that case, you might have already added the function customer environment tag in the creation process.
I guess if you wanted to, yeah.
So you need to check whether that exists or those exist before you even add them. Because the assumption is I can use try add in case it already exists. That's a good point. See?
Oops.
Thank you. Do you follow my logic or?
Yeah, like I don't ever tag anything when I create it. So I'm thinking about the way that I work, but yeah, you're right. We don't want to.
This is not just for you. We're writing a tool for everyone to use. So assumption, you know what they say about assumptions.
Yeah, I know. So triad's going to
Try to add them if they're not already there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just skip it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I don't
guess
think you
that's
need to do the if. I don't think you even need to do the if group name PCs count equals than 3. So you might not even need to do that allocation. Just go triad and see what happens. Not triad. That's completely different. Yeah.
No. The reason for this is like if you name your resource if you name your resource this way, then we're going to try to do these. But if you just created one and named it, my resource group.
Oh, you're taking the name. Sorry.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So
Gotcha.
our resource manager client. We are going to update. My machine's gotten really slow. I don't know what happened.
I think you're downloading an update to your flight simulator. That's why.
Resource groups, and we'll do an update async. We're not going to create it because we don't want to create it. Like that's not really part of our logic. We don't. If it's created, that's cool, but we don't want to create it, right? So we're going to update it, which we can get out of resourcegroup.name. And we're going to update it with our resource group. Let's go back and look at the docs, since that does not look correct. Resource group to resource group patchable. Okay, let's go see. Where was that? Creator update, and that's resource group name or new resource group. Okay, so they create a resource group. So this says update, but
Well, we'll do create or update. If one doesn't exist, which will exist because you just create a resource in a resource group, then we're just doing the update bit. It's fine.
so it says use the existing resource group name and a new resource group object.
Oh.
So essentially we're going to create a model of our resource group, and with the same name and with our updated properties, and then submit that. That's how I read that. Using existing resource group name and a new resource group object.
I wonder if we can do a shallow copy of the existing resource group and new app, a shallow copy of that, and add our tags, right?
I don't think we shouldn't have. I don't even think we'll have to do that because it looks like it's essentially driven by the name. But yeah, if there are other,
So it will be an iterative change then.
true. Yeah, it sounds like it'll be an iterative, or what do they call them? An incremental change. Resource, because that's how resource manager treats them.
Okay.
So
In that case, can go with that assumption.
we'll try it anyway. It's kind of unclear what it does, but are there any other? Let's see. That creates a virtual machine. Is there anything else in here? No. Let's go look in here. .NET Management Library code samples, just to make sure. Managing resource groups. Let's manage resource groups. And I think I've gotten myself into an infinite loop because this code looks almost identical to the other one. Or sorry. So that if I go to the samples in GitHub, that takes me to, I think, the same place we just were. Nope, it doesn't. This is different. So let's go look here. So let's get a resource group, create a resource group, update the resource group. So resource group equals new resource group location. Okay. Tags. And then creator update based on the name. So yeah, so pretty much they create a new resource group object. They modify the properties they need, what it seems like, and then do a creator update on it.
Ah,
So
it's an interesting approach for sure.
yeah, it's definitely a little bit different, but that's okay because really the only thing we really need to worry about here is, so let's see, we'll call this our patchable group object. And this is a new resource group. It looks like it's going to need a location, which we can get off of our current one. So that's resource group dot location. And then our patchable group dot tags is equal to our tags.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, is if we were to do a patch on, if we did a patch, would we even have to worry about the tags being overwritten? I don't know. We'll have to look and see.
It might override them because you are assigning the full thing. I don't know if it does some logic behind it. Why is it complaining about resource group?
This is saying property or index or tags can't be assigned to. So why is
What?
tags
Oh, is it the same object? Is tags what kind of
I mean, they're
dictionary?
they're setting it equal here, and they are.
Huh.
I mean, in this code sample, or sorry, in this one earlier,
Yep.
they're definitely setting it equal to tags. I don't understand why that's different. So this says,
And is the our tags object a dictionary?
yep, dictionary
Or-
of string, just like the other one. So this is, yeah, this is just adding tags and then setting it equal to it. So
Could be IntelliCode just messing up with us. Sometimes if you close the window and open it again, it just fixes itself. So save and you haven't even named the class file. That's interesting.
So this is the same code that's in. This is the same code that's in the sample.
What?
So if I can't set, I mean, so what are they expecting? Is this supposed to be like a tags.add? I mean, is tags even available? Why can't I set this here?
Wait, it's working fine now, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Tags equals our tags.
Tags can't be assigned to. It's read only.
What?
I mean, if I try, like, is it expecting it to be?
Is there a constructor override that you can use? Which I doubt. I don't think there was one, but wow.
I think it's just location. That's all we get on resource group. It's just location.
Damn.
Well,
Is there a method on the patchable group to allow you to add tags?
I mean, it's a resource group item just like the rest, right? So, so I can't set it to our tags, right? Can't do that because it's read only. So,
And there's no method on the patchable group that allows you to do that?
no. So I guess we'll do this another union. which is kind of dumb. I mean, we could probably simplify the code even. And so instead of using our tags, and instead of having to do a union on the existing ones, we could simplify this and just use. I mean, but this is making the assumption that this is like there is a dictionary here, which I'm kind of curious about. Like, is this dictionary even exist, or is it null? I mean, I guess it's not. It's not marked as nullable, so maybe it's not. But
it's probably an empty. Probably an empty collection if you don't have any, and then if you try. But I'm surprised that you can't add them. That code must be broken then.
Yeah, I think it's just the old.
Sorry,
the sample's old.
Union returns a new enumerable object, not update the reference object.
That's right, it does, and dictionaries don't have an add range. So, and we know the append isn't going to work.
Well, it works if you do a new contains, concat, other options, copy to, no, count.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah, that's right. It is going to produce one. Thank you. Thank you, Boltio.
But where's the code? Is that code on GitHub? The one that adds the...
Yep.
Because we would probably have to fix that as well, or raise a bug with it.
Yeah, because this is creating a new tags object, adding tags to that object, and then just setting them equal. So clearly that's not how it works right now. Would be my, I mean, unless you're right, like unless my IntelliCode or something's broken, which I suppose we could, but I can't imagine it would.
It's the mystery of the tags. That library or the documentation is broken.
Yeah, I mean, I'll run it and see.
Can you just add to resource group tags and throw the resource group variable at the paths?
No, we tried to do that, and I guess the resource group that we knew up is a patchable one. So this is looking for a type called a resource group patchable, and our earlier resource group. So if we just tried to use our resource group, the object that we pulled down earlier, it's not the same type.
Cannot convert from resource group to resource group patchable. Oh,
and the two.
Oh, wait a minute. You need to. I know. Line 86. You need to do a new resource group patchable, not a new resource group.
Well, so you say that. However, so it says use the existing resource group name. They're creating a new resource group. Right, and
I think the code is broken here, or they have their own reference. And go back into the code and update it.
Okay.
I know, because the documentation may be behind the times, so that should be a new resource group patchable.
Okay, and
see, no need to add location. Why is it complaining there? You cannot initialize.
What?
What is it saying?
No, it's just
cannot be assigned to. Oh.
No. It's saying this can be simplified. Okay. We still can't set it. So it still says that tags is not.
Maybe there's a method, patchable group dot, and see what it gives you for adding tags or whatever. There might be a method there.
Oops.
No. Probably patchable group dot whatever.
Not much.
Manus by name. Oh God.
Yep, nothing there.
I need to speak to John Gallen for this.
So, I'm going to go based on I'm going to go based on their docs, just for the sake of keeping it as close to it as possible, and assuming that we
IntelliSense is messed up. Or IntelliCode?
No. Well, so we can't set the tags here, right? We've tried this; it blows up. If I come here and try to do a build on this, it's going to bomb. Why does this thing keep opening up other ones? Jeez. .NET build.
Fat fingers?
Well, no, I've got 3 terminals. I don't need 3. I only need 1. Yeah, I cannot. Oh, that was the other one. The first error: property or index or tags cannot be assigned to. It is read only. So tags is definitely read only.
Wow.
But that's fine. So now we just end up with. I guess there are a couple ways we can look at doing it. So we can to-list this, and then we can for each it.
Whoa.
Although that's probably too controversial. We could just iterate through it. We could create our patchable group up here.
If 88 was a patchable group, wouldn't it still complain about the type mismatch?
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
Scroll down.
I didn't use resource group patch. Or sorry, what do we call that? Patchable group.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's our patchable group, which it says.
Which you don't have one right now. You deleted it, didn't you?
No, I've still got it.
Oh, do you have one?
No. You're right though, because it still says we can't convert resource group to patchable.
Yeah, it needs to be. So I think that the code is. Wait, go down. I don't think you did a create or update. You did an update. Scroll down, JP, line 88.
Yeah, I'm here. Line 88.
Update. You're doing an update async rather than create or update async. And I think the expectation is to have different objects there.
Well, let's see. So this is looking for a string resource group name and a resource group itself. Ah, you're right. So
Right.
I don't really want to do a creator update though, because I don't want to create it if it doesn't exist.
Well, it's not going to create it because this only triggers from a creation object. So in my mind, we just need to go by that, because if you're following the code to the letter,
All right.
then documentation to the letter,
Well, we did try to follow the documentation. It didn't work. Okay.
just done to
Okay.
get to find it. So it will already exist. Yeah, exactly. It will already exist.
I know. I mean, I've been there before where you make something and then it, 2 different nodes pick up the same request, and next thing you know, it's blowing up because you got two different ones. Okay, you're right. I should have stuck to the doc instead of saying the doc was wrong.
Now, what you need to do is see if we can, but we still can't edit the tags, right? Because it's read-only.
All right. So resource group dot tags equal to our tags. So now we're setting those together, and yeah, it's still that is still, yeah, you're right. So we still have to get our tags in there somehow.
Just use the original resource group you fetched.
It is. This is it. But it's still read only.
Yeah.
So we can't do that.
That is messed up.
Yeah. So we've punted on all of the patchable and update stuff.
Replace tags add with resource group.add.
Oh, yeah.
Resource group.add tags.
Yeah. Pretty much do this.
Do what? Oh. See? Can you?
It's worth a shot. Might as well.
Seems to not complain.
Might as well do a try-add here too, in case some of these, for one reason or the other, have already been done. So we'll do that here.
So the fact that the JP was refusing to use the copy-paste code.
Well, no, but that's bullshit, right? I'm not creating a resource group. I'm updating one. It's very explicit. An update. Here's what I'm worried about. I just pulled a resource group from A. It came from node A or whatever, right? It came from node A and ARM. My worry or my concern, the thing I wanted to guard against, was I send my update, and it ends up hitting node 7. And for whatever reason, it's got old data. Group doesn't exist or whatever, right? It doesn't end up there's a consistency problem, and maybe I just don't need to worry about it. Everybody's telling me not to worry about it, so I'm not going to worry about it. And when it doesn't,
there you go.
When it doesn't work, or when something blows,
All of you guys know me. I like how I'm not responsible for it.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, I think
all your fault.
I don't like the fact that I have to do a create or an update when I don't want to create I don't want to create a resource group. I want to update.
See, that's the pattern that we follow for quite a few of our Azure resources in general. Like sometimes when you do updating table storage or blob storage, it's a create or update rather than or containers. It's create or update rather than just a create or just an update.
And that's totally fine, but it's still wrong.
In your eyes, JP. In your eyes. Right. I think this is taken to 10 o'clock, and we do have a hard stop because we have another meeting to go.
Oh, I guess we do.
So let's build this one. Make sure it compiles. Let's git commit, and we will pick it up next time, which I think is going to be Thursday, since we don't have a surprise guest yet.
Yeah.
It could be a surprise guest Thursday.
It looks like VS Code has hung on me anyway.
Nice.
So yeah, I guess it heard me complaining. But anyway, that's cool. So, so Tuesday or this coming Thursday, we will get going on this. We'll make sure that it still builds if my IDE ever comes back. I hope it was saved.
Make sure you do a git commit.
And yeah, we'll git commit and push this up there this afternoon. I'll do it right now. Why not? And we'll be back on Thursday to do some more. Let's figure out who are we gonna raid. Today, we've got
Visual Studio is currently going strong.
Yeah, Visual Studio. So,
Do we have any of our live coder friends currently on?
I don't see anybody in the list, but it doesn't mean that they're not on. So,
true.
So let me go ahead and get this commit in. Oops. And we'll push it up. I guess we'll reopen VS Code. Uh-oh. Could not resolve host github.com. That's not good. WSL's definitely had some weirdness the past few weeks with some of the newer builds. There's definitely something kind of strange going on with networking. Like it seems to lose the network a lot. So let's see. Is my commit still there? It should be. Yep. Ready to push. So we get that pushed and be good to go. Okay, so that's up there. Cool. All right. Are we going to go to Visual Studio? Did you find anybody else?
Yep.
Or Visual Studio it is. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. We had a great time today. We will be back Thursday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. In the interim, send us anything that you need. And that's it for now.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks for being such a good team player.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Thanks for all the help. We'll see you in a few days.